Good day, my people. Well, as I introduced my channel, I told you it's called Second Chance. Well, it's only fair for me to tell you about my second chance and my experience. Okay? This is Yardman, otherwise called Squitty. Right? I'm going to bring you through some of my experiences and my second chance in life. Well, I'm a Jamaican. I was born in St. Catherine. I grew up in Kingston, most of the ghettos. I've lived in most of the notorious ghettos in Kingston as a child. Right? First, I must tell you, I'm a two-time deportee. But now, I'm living in Canada, back in Canada, as a citizen of Canada and working with the city, living as an upstanding citizen. Okay? I'll tell you a little bit of my life journey. So maybe you want to just sit back and relax and get a beer or something while I tell you about my journey, which bring me right here where I'm at right now. Right? Okay. Listen up now. While growing up in Jamaica as a kid, right, I passed my exam. When I was living in the country as a little boy, I passed my exam for St. Andrew Technical High School. While going to school, I was living in Waterhouse, Balcombe Drive, real hardcore garrison. Right? Then, while there going to school, I used to see lots of guys, big guys in their cars. They come around, pick up girls, dress in their fancy outfits and stuff. They were just guys, they say they were already done. So while I was there, I say, oh man, I want to be like these guys. I want to live this kind of life. Anyway, I've been going to school, studying. I moved from Waterhouse, then I went to live at Spanish Town Road, right by Greenwich Farm. After that, I live on Maxfield Avenue. I was just moving around. Then I went back to Waterhouse, going to school. I keep moving around because my parents were living in the country, so I stay with families, right? I grew up with my uncle mostly in the Waterhouse here with my cousins. Well, after that, I graduated from school. I taught for 5 months in a rural primary school, or they call it all-age school. While doing that, I didn't like it. Even though my mom was a teacher, I didn't like it. So I told my principal at the time, Isaac Henry, God bless his soul. Isaac Henry was a good man. I told him what I'm doing, so he said, oh, there's a program for people to go to university in Canada and Cuba. Right? So I signed up for that program. I signed up to do ship engineering. So I got through on the program. I studied 6 months Spanish, got my passport, getting ready to go to Cuba. Anyway, my mom, she didn't want me to go to Cuba because at the time Cuba was real hardcore in communism and stuff. People back home in my country, in Jamaica, they didn't like that. Not everyone was done with that, so she didn't want me to go. So when I finished my 6 months, I went back to the country because she didn't want me to go. So I had to go to the country to hide. So while there, 2 weeks after that, I was in Canada. I found myself in Toronto, Canada. Right? My uncle was living there. So then there was this letter for us to go to Canada, visiting letter. So I reached Canada, Toronto. While in Toronto, my uncle had some links. I started working as a tool and die in a machine shop. because I did mechanical engineering at Stats. So I had a diploma in mechanical engineering. So I got a job as tool and die in this roll metal company, right? Doing all the hard work and stuff, but I was being underpaid real bad. When I check it out, I was being underpaid. So I said, you know what, man, I'm like a slave. One day I was going home, jump on the train, going on the subway. I met, as the train stopped, I saw this guy. As the door opened, I saw this guy. I said, wow, who's this? That was my friend Goat Morgan from Rima. I saw Goat Morgan. He told me, man, what's going on? We greet each other and start talking and said, oh, I said, what you doing? He said, oh man, I'm doing some hustling. So I said, wow, you're making big money? He said, yeah. I was working. I told him what I'm doing. He said, man, I think they're using you, man. You're like a slave. Anyway, I keep going to my job. After thinking about it, I had his number and stuff, so I started calling him and talking to him. They told me, oh man, I'm going up to Montreal. I said, for what? They're going there to do some works and stuff. Going in the stores, taking out stuff, they call it shoplifting. Right? Everyone in foreign know about that. So I said, all right, man, I'm gonna hop along with you one day. So one day was Easter. I went up there with him to Montreal. We rented a car and I went with them. Been in a couple stores, take out stuff, full up a car with stuff. So while the car was filled and ready to go, I went in the store. I tried on these glasses and just walk out, not knowing that the guys were watching me. So the guys, they grab me, they jump on me. Two big white guys, they jump on me and fighting me and bringing me back in the store. While my friend Goat Morgan and the next guy, they ran away, left me. So I was there, didn't know what to do. The cops came, take me to the station. I was there. I said, oh, we're gonna charge you. They put some charge on me, locked me up. First time I'm going inside a prison, a jail. Man, that was a nightmare. We only had one little window to look through and this big iron door with all bricks, built brick wall and stuff. Like I was in a dungeon, man. It was like a nightmare. Anyway, I survived the night. I woke up the next day, went out, had breakfast and stuff. Then about 4 days after, or 5 days, I went to court. They give me like 30 days. After that 30 days, there comes the immigration. Because I wasn't legal. I just came as a visitor and I didn't go back. So they told me, you'll be on an immigration hold and you're gonna go to court. So I asked how long it's gonna be. They said, well, you're gonna stay in the jail for as long as it takes, maybe up to 2 years. So I said, what, 2 years? I can't be here for 2 years, man. Send me home. So that's how I went home back first. I got deported first time. Right? So that's how it all began with me. Right? Being in the wrong place at the wrong time. And in the wrong crowd. So my peeps, that's why this station is called Inform, Inspire, Educate and Motivate. I can motivate people, kids who go in the wrong way, and tell them that way is not gonna make them successful in life. They gotta change course. Either way, I went back home. I was there first time. I felt like 2.5 years. I reached back in Jamaica on a Sunday. So right away I went and I bought a Sunday Gleaner. I was looking through the Gleaner. I see where they need machinists at this company called Cifuentes Isia on Boulevard. It was a cigar company close to Pembroke Hall right there. So I applied for the job and I got the job. It's like 20 of us went for the interview. Guys from CAS, guys from UTech, now it's UTech, right? Guys from CAS, it used to be CAS first time. Guys from other technical schools who done engineering. But what I did, I put foreign experience on my paper. So they chose me. I was there doing this, working as a head machinist there. I worked for 5 months, and I said, man, I have to go back to Canada. I need to go back to Canada. Because I went there and I love Canada. So I said, man, I have to go back to Canada. So while working there, I make some links. I got out a passport with my cousin's name and stuff. I got another letter. And like in a month and a half, I was back in Canada. I landed in Toronto. I was there, still hanging out with some friends, still doing stuff, because I have to make money, because I'm illegal. So I can't do legal stuff. I have to be doing illegal stuff to survive. So while there, I was doing illegal stuff, still going to Montreal, still doing stuff, until I said, man, I'm gonna go live in Montreal. I love Montreal. So I left Toronto and went to live in Montreal. Okay? So I have a lot to tell you, peeps. You gotta continue listening, alright? This is part 1 of many, many series. Just like I'm telling you my story, you guys just call me and share your stories, right? So I'll be back to continue with more stories. I'm out. I'm out for today, right? So be safe.